All right, it's time to talk basketball. I'm Jose Salviati, editor at thebeachbasket.net. He is Steve Priscello, a longtime educator, vice principal, high school basketball coach, athletic director, and also the host of Celtic Chalk Talk. Celtic Chalk Talk is a pod dedicated to the latest news and opinions surrounding the Boston Celtics from a lifelong fan, Steve. That pod drops new episodes every Monday, but this, of course, is the Shot Clock Pod, the best 24 minutes of random NBA thoughts online anywhere. This podcast was born out of the contents of Steve's 13 Rules, random NBA thoughts articles, which he publishes weekly. Steve and I have exactly 24 minutes to discuss what's on his mind around the NBA. Today, we'll discuss his latest 13 Rules, random NBA thoughts article, where he shares his random thoughts after week 17, the lead-in week to All-Star Weekend of the 2025-26 NBA season. All right. As always, we ask, please, if you got this far, like, subscribe, comment. It all means the world to us, and we're grateful for all of it. All right. We got some stuff to talk about. Steve, are you ready?
Ready.
Clock is running, and off we go. All right, you started your article. We're going to bounce around like we started to do, and we're not going to, we may hit all, we may not. But this one I thought was really interesting. You painted the picture of the NBA as a league riding high, and it was, right? And now all of a sudden, there's some significant bumps in the road. You called a few of them out. Is the NBA in trouble?
I don't think they're in trouble, but they have to do things to help their credibility would be the best way. I think the tanking, and we'll talk more about that in a few minutes about the teams, but I think the tanking is a major problem because when teams aren't trying for the rest of the season, it just ruins it. People are paying a lot of money for those tickets. And there's 2 months left in the season, and teams are already tanking. So, that's a major problem. Now, this weekend is the All-Star game. That's a big thing. However, tonight, Sunday night, is the All-Stars playing.
Yeah.
The ratings have gone down, and people literally are making fun of the fact that these guys don't play hard.
Yeah.
So that's another problem. And then the other thing is, as I mentioned, Kawhi Leonard's situation's got to be resolved. Now, that's a major thing because you're dealing with the 10th richest man in the world, in Steve Ballmer, and you're going to come down on him. The only way, how can you come down on him? But it looks bad. And as things unfold, the fact that to get him as a free agent, Ballmer, I don't know if he knew or not, but Kawhi had to get extra money from an outside source.
Yeah.
And Ballmer might have been involved in getting that extra money to that outside source. And that's just a lot of things that aren't good for the game. And with the NBA being so much fun, so much money involved, the NBA's got to do something to quiet the tanking, make the All-Star game. They're trying 18 different things. Every year they have a new idea for the All-Star game.
Yeah.
And this is their biggest weekend. So I guess to demonstrate how the weekend has gone downhill, let me ask you, who won the dunking contest last night?
Okay, I didn't watch it live. I watched the highlights, and I know that it was a San Antonio Spurs player whose name I don't have.
That's exactly the point.
I know, but he didn't win it. He lost it because he couldn't make a dunk in the time allotted, and I think he lost to a Magic player, but I don't know.
That's exactly the point, though, because the people that are in that contest are the guys on the fringes. And people would love to go see, I don't know, some star in that contest.
Right.
Or a rising, like an Anthony Edwards, a rising star. That would be fun. But instead, you've got these people. And even this year, they had a pretty good cast in the three-point shot contest. But generally, that's not always the greatest thing in the world either.
Yeah.
So they're not helping themselves. And it's a great festival this weekend in NBA. And it should be a real way for the league to tell everybody how good they are. And obviously, it isn't.
Yeah, it's sad to see what's become of the dunk contest. We're going down a rabbit hole, a little bit of a left turn here, but I did watch it yesterday. I watched the highlights. The dunks that were made were impressive, but there was a lot of misses, and these are players that, again, I'm just not familiar with.
Right.
But when I think about the dunk contest in the 70s, right? When Dr. J was doing his thing, there were even then in the 80s, there was a kind of a nobody player. His name was Terrence Stansbury, played for the
Mm.
Indiana Pacers. And he created what he called the Statue of Liberty dunk, where he rose up, had the ball in his hand up in the air, did a 360 and dunked it. Amazing. So the fact that you've got, I hate to call them nobody, these are NBA players, but guys who aren't stars doing it is okay if there's creativity involved, if there's some pizzazz. And one of the players tried to do that. But I think what's happened to the dunk contest is, again, Dr. J was in it. Kobe Bryant was in it. Those level of players aren't going to be in it anymore. And now you've got this situation, this oddity where when people were dunking in the 70s and 80s, they were the only people dunking. Today, dunks have become an art form in and of themselves. Matt McClung is the perfect example. He's a dunker. He's not a basketball player. No offense to Matt McClung. I know he played in the NBA too. This guy won it 3 times in a row. He would have won it today. He would have won it yesterday, no doubt. And he made, I think, a little bit of a mockery of the NBA when he put out a video saying, these are the dunks I would have done. And they were all better than anything we saw yesterday. So I think dunking now has become a bit of an art form that surpassed the NBA. You don't have to be a great dunker to succeed in the NBA. So why would LeBron do this? Why would Anthony Edwards do it? But there's a chance of getting hurt, chance of missing a couple of dunks. You saw one kid try to dunk, hit his head. I think the dunk contest is probably, we're not going to see it soon. It's going to die a very sad death.
I guess what I'm trying to say, though, is when you looked at the cast that would be in the dunk contest, it gave you absolutely no reason to even think about watching it.
To watch it. You're right.
These guys could be tremendous dunkers or doing tremendous things, but nobody's watching. That's the part that I guess goes with that.
Undeniable. I was much more excited to see Dame in the 3. I didn't even know he was in it. And then all of a sudden, dude wins it. And the drama of the end, because Devin Booker had it, all he needed to do was make one of his last 3, and he missed all 3. Dame won it all. That was pretty exciting. But yeah, unfortunately, we might need to RIP the dunk contest soon. But again, the content here is the NBA in trouble. And I agree with you. I don't think it's in trouble, but man, there's some significant issues that need to be addressed, from Kawhi to the tanking to this. We'll see if anybody participates in the game today. NBA has said you will. You going to take it serious? We'll see. We'll see. All right, let's move to keeping it on the same topic. These are interrelated, and you mentioned it already. That's the tanking problem. You presented a solution last week. Adam Silver is thinking about it. I'm sure he watches the show, and he's contemplating that opportunity. But I thought it was really interesting, your article here. We talked a lot about here on the show how the West is really tough. But when you start to take teams out of that equation, now all of a sudden the West is not as tough, because when you've got a late season game against the Utah Jazz, well, if they give it their all with Jaren Jackson and the rest of their really good players, I can't think of them right now, but they've got some really good players. They play everybody. They're going to give you a battle. You got a W going up against Utah. All of a sudden, the West gets easier because you've got teams tanking, doesn't it?
First of all, you're talking about Lauri Markkanen and Keontae George.
That was the guy.
But and I looked at it, and in the West, there's 5 teams tanking. So
That's
now
crazy.
if you do, that leaves 10 teams. So basically, those 10 teams are in the playoffs, are playing, and they're playing for a placement. And then if you go to the East, there's 4 teams tanking. So one team won't make it of the 11. There's 11 teams still playing. So the fun was last year, over the years, that even everybody playing for that last play-in spot, it's just not there.
Yes.
So it's not a good situation for the league to be in. And it's going to be a really bad thing if you're a Mavericks fan. Cooper Flag's worth the admission, but why do you want to go? Like, it just, the games mean nothing. And they're probably, if they have to, they'll cut Flag's minutes to 30. Or if he gets a hangnail, he'll miss 2 games. So just not a good look for the league.
Yeah. Yeah, undeniably. And Silver has come out in the All-Star game and said, listen, we're looking at it. We're looking at it. But it's time to stop looking and time to start acting, right? You got to find a solution. You got to find it quick, because this has just been ongoing. And frankly, I'm shocked to see the Jazz doing what they're doing, because they've got a good team, and Jaren Jackson has been great there. Why?
He's
Why are
hurt.
they tanking?
He's out for the year. But I think what the Jazz did, and I'm trying to speak for Danny Ainge, he looked at the fact that there's 6 or 7 guys that are super players in this draft. He was probably thinking we go for it this year. 2 things happened. Walker Kessler got hurt, which is big, and the draft. So looking at both things, the realization was, let's try to get a top 6 pick. If we get that, we got another player to go with these guys, and it's a cheaper player. Look at what we got. We've got four legit players counting Walker Kessler, plus a pretty good first round pick. And Ace Bailey, and there's other people that are on the team, Isaiah Collier, that can play a little bit too. It's a good move. It's a good move within the rules of the league.
Yeah, and I think that encapsulates it perfectly within the rules of the
Yeah.
league. Those rules have got to change, right? You don't want teams to tank. The rules have got to change. And yeah, apologies. I know that Jaren Jackson now is out with a knee injury, but the NBA fined the Jazz $500,000 for benching healthy players, including Jackson at the time, for compromising the integrity of the league, which is absolutely wild. When, again, to your point, they're doing it within the rules. Change the rules. All right, let's unfortunately continue with this. We're not being very positive in this show. We got to talk about James Harden. You
Oh
and I talk a
God.
lot about loyalty and how it really doesn't mean anything to players. It means everything to the fans. And Harden just literally came out and said it. Loyalty's overrated. He is not about loyalty. And I don't know what to make of it. He had a great run here for the Clippers, and he's been monumental for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's all of a sudden the Cavs are, and you talk about that in your article, they're playing really well. What do you make of
I
James
just
Harden?
think he knows what he does. He knows he's not innocent. So he's going to make an excuse for it. Because anybody, if you're a fan of the Clippers, and this just happened with this guy, when the team is, think about it, the team is playing great basketball.
Yeah.
Since that miserable start, they're playing great ball.
Yeah.
And now your best player wants out because of money. Let's not mask it. So if you're a fan of the Clippers and you saw this, what are you thinking? What a joke. I can't, I'm rooting for the team thinking that these guys want to be with them. And they don't. They want to get the next check. And I think if we started looking, I have no idea. I didn't look it up. Harden is made a couple hundred million. And so that next check isn't going to keep people starving in his family.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. I will say, again, and we talked about this last week, Harden's exit here in LA was a little different than other places he has exited, because there is a lot of love for him here in LA. I think the Clipper fans, who are very knowledgeable fans, I know they get a lot of heat, a lot of grief, right? Because they're in the shadow of the Lakers, undeniably. But this is a fan base that knows basketball. And I think they understood, listen, when they got Harden, we got a hard gun. And that's okay. He came in, he did his job, and now he left. We expected that. So there's a lot of love for what he did for the Clippers. But yeah, it's hard to hear him say what we all knew to be true. Yeah, loyalty in the NBA is
Just shut your mouth. Yep. Just shut your mouth and move on.
Just keep going. All right. Again, keeping the theme, we're a very anti-NBA show today without meaning to be. We got to talk about the fight, the Pistons and the Hornets. And I love the way you put a bow on it, right? This was, in your mind's eye, this was the Hornets, who have been up and coming, who have not been good for a very long time, who are just a frustrated franchise. But all of a sudden, they look like they've got a future, right? The future looks bright, which is exciting for the Hornets. And then you got a team in Detroit who was there, right? They were the Hornets a couple years ago, but now they're good. They were good last season. They're good this season. And they're going to push you. That's their MO. And the Hornets say, you ain't going to push us. We're not those Hornets anymore. This was a statement for the Hornets, wasn't it?
It was a perfect script. And by that, you've got the up and coming team. They want respect. And they're playing a team. And let's face it, they don't beat you with this offensive skill. They beat you. They play defense hard. They've got a couple good players that work around it that can score. And they go at you, and every possession is a fist fight. So it's a perfect situation for something to happen. And it did. Doran is a very physical player. When he gets the ball, he pounds. And he was pounding Diabate if you watched it.
Yeah.
And yes, he had enough, but probably doing it all night. The Hornets want respect. They're obviously, Detroit isn't giving it to them. And then they're playing a mug up game where you mug the game up possession by possession. You just pounding. It leads to a fight. It's the perfect ingredient. It's not a good look again for the NBA because, again, Isaiah Stewart and his infinite wisdom came running off the bench. And that makes it look worse. And the fear in the NBA would be you're going to have another Malice in the Palace, meaning guys going up into the crowd fighting, and it's
Right.
just out of control. So, it's not a good look for the league. And this is the way Detroit is. And I have to imagine, I don't know if there'll be fights, but in the playoffs, Detroit's going to be pushing teams to the limit where they're going to want to go at them.
Yeah. Hey, I wonder because the best, maybe not fair to call it the best, but one of the best Detroit Pistons teams ever, they were nicknamed the Bad Boys. So I'm wondering, is there, and let's say pressure, because I can't think of a better word, but is there pressure for this team to show, and listen, the Bad Boys were good, but we're the bad boys, we're the better bad boys. Do you think that plays into it at all?
No,
Is that
I think it's real simple. You look at what you have, and you try to sit there and decide what's the best way to win.
yeah,
The Pistons don't have the firepower to play with some of those the better teams, but they do defend better than most of those teams. What do we do? And they can be physical. And a key thing that we all miss: referees are humans. Obviously, some people don't believe it, but they are. But there's a little thing that goes on in coaching on every level. If you look up at the scoreboard and see 5 fouls called on my team and 1 on your team, I'm going to complain.
yes,
So if you think about it, Detroit can be physical, more physical, but generally the fouls called in a game are going to be somewhat even. So there's more of an ability of an official to let more go when Detroit is defending because you want the foul totals to be somewhat close together.
yeah,
When you see a game, no matter what the game, when you see one team shooting 40 foul shots, the other team shooting 20, your mind right away goes to, oh, goodness, what was going on here? So
yes,
that's a big factor that you can get away with. And Detroit is pushing it to that limit. But naturally, if you're a player and you're getting hit every time you're doing something, at some point you've had enough, especially if you're losing.
yes.
So that all goes into this situation.
Yep. Isaiah Stewart, 7 games, Miles Bridges and Diabate 4 games each for the brawl. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but you and I were fortunate enough to interview Scott Foster, an NBA referee, not too long ago, probably about a year ago now. And you brought out referees are human. I really do think that time is coming. It may not be soon, but it's coming. And when we talked to Scott Foster, he talked about something that the NBA was piloting. I think it was called, I have to find it now, but I think it was called
Hawk,
Harmony, or was that what?
no, the Hawkeye or something where you can
Hawkeye.
break things down.
That was part of it. But yeah, and the whole idea is let's, I'm certain the idea is not to get rid of refs, but to help refs. But right now, the technology being as good as it is and improving daily, I can't help but think some of the things that are hard to spot with the naked eye, that are easy to spot with cameras, things like goaltending, did it touch the backboard, charging versus a block, those kinds of things, that's going to be taken out of the equation fairly soon. And then you might go from 3 refs back to 2. And I think that's the evolution of the game. Whether it's good or
I don't
bad.
know if they'll ever go back to that, 2 refs, but I do understand the use of technology coming into the game and changing it. And what's really interesting, they only have 1 challenge, and if they're right, they get a second, if a coach is right. What's really interesting is you see a game, and in the second quarter, it's a 50-50 call on a charge.
Yeah.
Well, that could be challenged, but no, you got to wait. So what does that mean? More challenges? That doesn't work because it takes too long for them to figure it out.
Right.
So, but then one more piece. I always hear about marginal contact. What's the difference here, and what makes
Contact.
marginal? How could you see that in a film also? So those are things that you see that don't make sense.
Yeah. 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 Tough job, no doubt. Refereeing is a tough job, and yeah, we'll see. I do think some changes are coming, and again, not right away, but in time. Speaking of, can't make a segue to this one. I'm just gonna own the W there, or the W, that the L. I tried to segue, I can't. You wrote about the Knicks struggles. Now it's interesting because the Knicks are playing good basketball. Won the NBA Cup. They just won yesterday the one of the challenges in the All Star Weekend. Things are going good for New York right now, but they're and you've called them the most talented team in the East.
Yeah.
But there's some oddities here. They're winning big and then they're losing big, right? It's an inconsistency issue that kind of freaks you out about them. Yeah.
If you begin to look at it here, last year, Boston was the defending champion, and they would run into games like the Knicks had against the Pacers this week and blow a game to a team they should beat by 30. And look what happened to Boston. The year before, Denver did the same thing. This year, look at Oklahoma City. Teams they should be beating easily, they're not. And what was the result? Now, the Knicks haven't won a title yet, but if you're not consistent, it's hard. It's hard. One of the things, if we go back to the 90s with the Bulls, Jordan wouldn't allow that to happen. They were going to win their games. And even at the year they won 70 or whatever it was, that was later after a few titles. It wasn't like they were just not, they played every night. And
Yeah.
to win a title, you need to stay consistent. And that was my point on saying it. The Knicks have time to correct themselves. So maybe they will and go into a hot streak until the thing, and they are hot. They played well, but you
Yeah.
just can't go out and beat and lose to teams like that. Last year, and this woke me up, Boston played the Lakers in Boston. LeBron was out, Luka was out, and I believe Reeves did play. So you're thinking, oh, this is a skate. They're going to skate through this game. It's easy. Boston got beat by about 15 in that game. And from that game, you say to yourself, I don't know if they're champions. I don't know if they're, so that's my point.
Yeah. When the Knicks got Jose Alvarado, I wrote that he is the kind of player that'll win you a championship by making the timely steal, by hitting the big shot. But he's that kind of spark plug.
Yeah.
But the Knicks have got to get there, right, to be able to give him that opportunity to the finals. And right after I said that, now patting myself on the back, just got super lucky. Jose Alvarado had a phenomenal game. I think he's a bit of a difference maker for that team.
He's only going to play 15 minutes. You still come back to their guys that are on the court for more. I think he's fast. He plays the game. He's gotten better as a shooter, pesky defender, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Again, if you're playing 15 minutes a game, if that, I don't know how big, maybe I'm wrong, but the New York press makes a big thing. If they picked up Jeremy Sohan yesterday, and he wasn't playing for San Antonio, and they're acting like he's going to bring them the title. Slow down, let it happen.
But you do need players like Sohan,
Of course.
who I like, and
Not
Alvarado.
Sohan. I think more so. I think Alvarado is a guy that he's a high energy. I call him high energy, but he makes other players play hard.
Yes.
Because they see their teammate going at it. And there's a few of them in the league.
Yeah.
The kid on Detroit, Holland, is one, Hugo Gonzalez or Jordan Walsh on Boston. And that helps Boston, of course. The kid Holland is, and naturally the Thompson boys, the two of them, those are energy players. They're making great plays defensively, and they get you, everybody, to play hard. And it's hard when you're in game 60 of the season, in a long season, to give it a go every night.
Which is why I enjoy players like that, right? They're going to take their 15 minutes and they're going to make the most out of it. And I always enjoy players like that. Right, you heard the buzzer go off. We violated the shot clock again, but not by a lot. That's not too bad. We do have a couple of other topics that I want to encourage you to read Steve's article to find out his thoughts on Cleveland, maybe peaking at the right time, and LeBron's cryptic message. There was a little bit more random thoughts on Steve's brain this week. But that's it. Our time's up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Make sure to read Steve's entire 13 Rules Random NBA Thoughts article. It'll be linked wherever you watch or listen to this show. And before I sign us off officially, I got to ask Steve, are you going to watch the All-Star games today? Because that is one, right? There's 4 games today. You watching them?
I think I have to wash my hair.
More important things.
No, I haven't watched an All-Star game in a couple of years.
Really?
I just don't. It annoys you when you see guys not trying. And it's just,
Wow.
and I understand the worry about injury. I understand all that. And if the game is good, I'll go watch it
Okay.
on YouTube something after. But the point being, it just annoys you to see guys going through it. And I'm going to add one more thing. You think about it. LeBron James, being LeBron James, all the players are in town and all in LA and all for this. LeBron James and they all do their press conference yesterday and all that nice stuff. James shows up today and has his press conference today and then plays. You're not helping the league. You're making rules for you. And that's not just not good. And that kind of turns me off to the game also.
Okay. Okay. I feel bad that I asked now. I'm sorry, but
No, it's not something that look, I love watching. I can watch a game anytime, but that means people are playing. There's times like we just talked about when teams let down against certain teams, but they're trying to win. In this game, who knows what they're trying to do? They
yes,
might pick somebody tonight, like right now, maybe LeBron, and make them the MVP because that's what they've been doing. That guy was going to have a great night. And maybe because LeBron might be leaving, they might throw him another MVP or so. That's not fun. That's
I
just not
got you.
fun.
I got you. Fair enough. This was the worst commercial for the All-Star game. So you watch us before you watch the game. I hope you still watch the game because we don't want the NBA to be mad at us. But of course, join us next week for more random NBA thoughts as we recap week number 18.